wind howled like a chorus of restless spirits, battering the cliffs of Cape Solace with unrelenting fury. Eleanor Vance, the lighthouse keeper, stood at the edge of the lantern room, her calloused hands gripping the iron railing. At 42, she was a woman carved by the sea, her face weathered, her dark hair streaked with gray, her eyes sharp as the beam that cut through the fog each night. The lighthouse, perched on a jagged outcrop, was her domain, her sanctuary, and her prison. For 15 years, she tended its light, guiding ships through treacherous waters. But tonight, as the storm raged, something felt wrong. Eleanor had come to Cape Solace in 1972, fleeing a life in Seattle that had crumbled under the weight of a broken engagement and a family that never understood her need for solitude. The lighthouse, built in 1890, was a relic of another era, its stone walls scarred by decades of salt and wind. The nearest village, Solace Cove, was a mile down a winding path, home to fishermen and their families who regarded Eleanor with a mix of respect and suspicion. She liked it that way. The less they pried, the better. Her routine was unchanging. Check the lamp's oil, polish the Fresnel lens, log the weather, and watch the horizon. But 3 days ago, a letter had arrived, slipped under the lighthouse door in the dead of night. No postage, no return address, just her name scrawled in black ink. Inside was a single sentence. "You can't hide forever, Eleanor." Her heart had lurched, not from fear, but from recognition. The handwriting was unmistakable, Clara's. Clara had been her best friend in Seattle, the one person who'd known her secrets, her dreams, her shame. They'd parted ways after a bitter argument, when Clara accused Eleanor of running from her problems instead of facing them. That was the last time they'd spoken, 15 years ago. Now, Clara was here, or someone pretending to be her. Eleanor burned the letter in the fireplace, but its words lingered like damp rot. Tonight, as the storm intensified, Eleanor's unease grew. The radio crackled with warnings of 80-mile-an-hour gusts, and the sea churned below, waves crashing against the rocks with a violence that shook the lighthouse's foundation. She checked the lamp again, its steady pulse a comfort against the chaos outside. But as she descended the spiral staircase, a sound stopped her cold. A faint, deliberate knock at the base of the tower. No one came to the lighthouse unannounced. Not in a storm like this. The village folk knew better, and the Coast Guard was stationed 50 miles south. Eleanor grabbed the heavy flashlight from the table, its weight reassuring in her hand. She opened the door, bracing against the wind, and peered into the darkness. Rain lashed her face, blurring her vision, but she saw nothing. No figure, no boat, no sign of life. Just the endless black of the sea and sky. "Clara?" she called, her voice swallowed by the storm. No answer. She slammed the door shut, heart pounding. Maybe it was a branch, knocked loose by the wind. But as she turned, she saw it. A second letter, sodden and crumpled, lying on the floor just inside the threshold. Someone had been here. With trembling hands, she opened it. "Meet me at the cliff's edge at midnight. You owe me that much." The same handwriting, the same ink. Eleanor glanced at the clock, 11:45 p.m. She didn't believe in ghosts, but the past had a way of clawing its way back. She pulled on her oilskin coat, grabbed the flashlight, and stepped into the storm. The path to the cliff's edge was narrow, slick with mud and seaweed. The beam of her flashlight danced across the rocks, revealing nothing but the relentless rain. She reached the cliff, where the lighthouse's beams swept overhead. illuminating the frothing sea below. No one was there. She waited, the wind tearing at her coat, until the church bell in Solace Cove tolled midnight. Still nothing. Then a glint caught her eye, a metallic object wedged between two rocks, half buried in the mud. She knelt, prying it free. It was a locket, silver and tarnished, engraved with the initials CM, Clara Mayfield. Eleanor's breath caught. She hadn't seen this locket since Seattle, when Clara wore it every day, a gift from her late mother. How had it ended up here? Eleanor's mind raced. Was Clara playing a cruel game, luring her out into the storm? Or had something happened to her? She pocketed the locket and headed back to the lighthouse, determined to call the village constable at first light. But as she reached the tower, the lamp's beam flickered, a rare occurrence given its meticulous maintenance. She climbed the stairs two at a time, her boots echoing in the hollow chamber. Inside the lantern room, the lens was intact, but the oil reservoir was low, impossibly low. She'd filled it just hours ago. Sabotage? Her pulse quickened as she scanned the room. On the logbook, where she recorded weather and maintenance, someone had scrawled a new message. You left me to drown. Eleanor staggered back. In Seattle, she and Clara had gone sailing one summer day. A sudden squall overturned their boat. Eleanor, a strong swimmer, made it to shore. Clara, who couldn't swim, clung to the wreckage until the Coast Guard arrived. She survived, but their friendship didn't. Clara blamed Eleanor for abandoning her, for not staying by her side. Eleanor had fled to Cape Solace soon after, unable to face the guilt. Was Clara here to settle the score? Eleanor's rational mind rebelled. Clara lived in Portland now, married, with a new life. She wouldn't track Eleanor down after all these years, but the locket, the letters, the message, they were too specific, too personal. The storm raged on, and Eleanor didn't sleep. At dawn, she radioed Constable Hargrove in Solace Cove. He was a gruff man, skeptical of outsiders, but he agreed to come by. When he arrived, his rain-soaked hat dripping on the floor, Eleanor showed him the letters and the locket. Hargrove frowned, turning the locket over in his hands. Clara Mayfield, he said, his voice low. You know her? Knew her, Eleanor corrected. Years ago. She's not here, is she? Hargrove's eyes narrowed. Nobody's come through the village matching that name. But last week, a woman rented a boat from Old Man Carver. Didn't leave a name. Said she was visiting the cliffs. Boat washed up yesterday, empty. Eleanor's stomach twisted. And the woman? Gone. No body, no trace. Carver figured she got caught in the currents. He paused. You sure you don't know more than you're saying? Eleanor shook her head, but doubt gnawed at her. She spent the day scouring the cliffs, searching for signs, a footprint, a scrap of clothing, anything. The villagers joined her, their faces grim. They whispered about the curse of the Cape, an old tale of shipwrecks and lost souls. Eleanor dismissed it as superstition, but the locket burned in her pocket. That night, the storm subsided, leaving an eerie calm. Eleanor sat in the lantern room, the logbook open before her. She wrote nothing, her pen hovering over the page. Then, a sound, a low, mournful hum, like a voice carried on the wind. She leaned out the window, straining to hear. It was coming from the cliff's edge. She grabbed her flashlight and ran, the hum growing louder, more distinct. It wasn't the wind. It was a song, one Clara used to sing on their sailing trips. At the cliff, the beam of her flashlight caught a figure standing at the edge, facing the sea. A woman, her silhouette framed against the moonlight. "Clara?" Eleanor's voice trembled. The figure didn't turn. Instead, it stepped forward, vanishing over the cliff. Eleanor screamed, rushing to the edge, but there was nothing below. Just the waves crashing against the rocks. She sank to her knees, the locket slipping from her hand into the mud. The next morning, Hargrove organized a search along the shore. They found nothing, no body, no evidence of anyone falling. The locket was gone, washed away, or buried in the night's tide. The villagers stopped whispering about curses, but their glances lingered on Eleanor, heavy with unspoken questions. Eleanor never received another letter. The lighthouse lamp never flickered again. But every night, as she tended the light, she listened for that hum, that song, wondering if Clara had come to forgive her or to haunt her. The sea kept its secrets, and so did she.